Hi guys, my name is Gabriella and I'm in love with an immigrant. Today's video is going to focus on removal proceedings. Now if you don't know what removal proceedings are, the exact definition is about to pop up right about now. So this is the exact definition, but basically it is a case where an illegal immigrant has to go to a court and they decide whether they can legally stay in this country. So there are three different types of ways that this could happen. I can only speak for my case, but I'm going to try to touch base on a lot of other different cases. So there are three ways, like I said. They're arriving aliens, which have been caught at the border, usually. There are aliens present without admission, which means they have been caught here in the U.S. and were unable to present their documents. So they were caught and given a case. And then there are admitted aliens who have stayed beyond the term that they have agreed to stay with the government. So those are the three types. Now again, I can only speak for my case, so I'm just going to give you a little bit of a rundown because I don't want to go too much into detail. But what happened with my husband was he was at work and the company that he was working for was under investigation, and rather than taking the person or the leader that they were investigating, they ended up taking his entire crew into the immigration customs and enforcement. So they took them in, and because my husband could not present legal documentation about why he was in the U.S., he was given a removal proceeding. And that's basically, again, just one way that it can happen. There are many different ways, but that is one way that has taken a toll on us, and that's why I want to make this video so that if anybody else is in the same situation, you guys can find out how we are dealing with it, basically. So in order for us to understand the solution, we have to first understand the hierarchy that we're working with here. So everything is under the DHS, which is the Department of Homeland Security, which we all are pretty familiar with. The first corporation that I guess is under that would be the USCIS, the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services. After that is the CBP, Customs and Border Protection. And then after that is going to be ICE, which is Immigration and Customs Enforcement. And all of these are basically on the same level. They just work underneath the Department of Homeland Security. And they all have different roles. So these are the purposes for each department. The purpose of the USCIS is basically focused on documentation. So these are the people you're going to want to go to find all your forms. These are the ones that you're going to want your lawyers to talk to for all of that to get legalized. The CBP is the largest federal law enforcement agency. So these are the people that are at the border and at the airports checking everything that's coming into the U.S., and just making sure that everything is up to code. And then there's ICE, which is making sure that everybody is abiding by the laws and regulations of the United States. So this is the problem with having a removal proceeding and trying to get your documentation. The issue is that the removal proceedings is handled by ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, which you can see on the opposite side of USCIS, which is what handles all of the documentation. So before a certain presidency happened, these two departments would work together, and if you had a removal proceeding, the ICE would work together with USCIS to temporarily close your case so that you can finish your documentation. And once your documentation was completed, your case would automatically be closed because you were no longer an immigrant. What's happening now is ICE is no longer closing any immigration cases, no matter what your situation is, no matter what happened. They are no longer working together with USCIS. So as you can see, it's difficult because So the solution is we're actually going to move away from the Department of Homeland Security, because that is the issue that we're having, is that they're not cooperating, their departments aren't working together. So it's essentially just a halt if you go through the Department of Homeland Security with these issues. So what you have to do is you have to go straight to the Department of Justice. Now, the reason you have to do this is because your removal proceedings has already been assigned to a judge. So you're going to want to find that judge through the Department of Justice. And then under the Department of Justice is the Executive Office of Immigration Review. That's who your judge works for. And these are the people who look at the cases and they review the proceedings and they make the final decision at the hearings. So what you want to do is you want to go to your lawyer or whoever is helping you with this case, and they have to go directly to the judge that is working on your case, and they have to ask, or they have to do some investigating and see if they are closing their cases, because the Department of Justice works under a completely different department. So the judges actually have authority to look at a case and administratively close that case. So basically, you're going to want to go to your judge. You're going to say, look, I'm trying to finish my documentation, but it's been put on hold because of these removal proceedings. Is it possible for you to administratively close my case until I finish my documentation? And if they are understanding, if they are a great judge who just wants to help you out, they will close that case. In theory, again, I haven't done this before, but this is what I've talked to 3 lawyers about, and this is my experience. They will close that case so you can finish your documentation and you can move back to the Department of Homeland Security. But this is what you have to do first. You have to go directly through the judge. You didn't have to do it before, but now you do. So, yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this helped. As always, it's not an easy process, but I hope we can all get through it together. And remember, you're never alone. So ask any questions, subscribe, or share. And always remember, #ImmigrantLove. Thanks, guys.